Today we're going to make blueberry hand pies utilizing our Blitz puff pastry recipe. You can find that video on our YouTube channel. So here we are with some frozen blueberries. That's what I had on hand. You can use fresh blueberries. You're going to add some sugar to accentuate the sweetness, and some lemon juice because that's a nice complement of tartness to our sweet blueberries. We're also going to add a pinch of salt to our recipe, and we're going to add some butter for flavor and also for the final consistency of the sauce. So as you can see, as I'm cooking these down, the blueberries are starting to release their juices. So when you use frozen blueberries, you're going to have a lot more liquid because the cell walls have already broken down from the freezing process. If you use fresh blueberries, it's not going to be quite as liquidy, so you may need to adjust and add a little bit. You can add a little bit of water or whatever it is just to get that consistency that we're looking for. So here, once I've cooked them down, I now add my flour in. My flour is going to now thicken my filling. Keep in mind that as my filling cools, it will get much thicker. So we're just looking for a nice nappe or coating the spoon consistency. If you need to adjust with a little more sugar, now is the time to season. Next, we're going to use our puff pastry dough. This is our Blitz puff pastry recipe. We're going to use some flour on the board to keep it from sticking, and we want to make sure that we don't roll off the side or pinch the edges of our dough. So make sure that you are working with the dough in small sections, keeping it nice and cold as you are working with it. We don't want the butter to melt. We want to keep the dough nice and cold so it makes it easy to work with. And I'm adding flour to the rolling pin or to the dough or the board as needed. So if I feel that it's getting a little tacky and I feel that I need to add a little bit of flour, I'm just going to focus on where I need small amounts of flour so as not to dry the dough out. So I want to roll my dough out into a nice rectangle shape. Our rectangle is going to be roughly 9 inches by 18 inches. And we can use a ruler, or if you have one of these expandable cutting sets, we want to cut 6 strips that are about 3 inches wide. And then we want to trim our edges to have nice straight edges, and then from there we want to cut this into 3. So you're going to have 6 by 3, which is going to give you 18 pieces. These are approximately 3 by 3 squares. Save all those scraps. We'll do something with them in the end. I'll show you in a few moments. So now we need to use a little bit of glue to adhere the two parts of our dough together. So we're going to use a little bit of our egg wash, and now we're going to put about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of filling in the center of our dough. So you want a nice heaping mound of filling. And we're going to now attach the dough to the top. So these almost even look like raviolis, where it's 2 layers of dough with filling in the center. Make sure that when the top layer goes on, you eliminate any air pockets so that it's just completely mounded around the filling. And we're just gently pressing down for now to adhere the 2 pieces of dough together. So our next thing is going to be to crimp the edges. So we're going to use the back of a fork, and that's going to bring the edges together and really seal them well. So we'll go ahead and we'll continue doing this for all of our pieces. So we have 9 pieces or 9 final portions of our hand pies. So when we cut the dough, we'll get 18 pieces, and each hand pie requires 2 pieces. So that gives us 9 altogether. Now we'll transfer them onto a sheet pan with parchment paper. And what we'll do is we'll take a small paring knife and we'll just create that vent hole on top so that the steam can escape as it bakes. We'll finish there, and the next thing we want to do is we want to chill this for about 20 minutes before we bake. So with all the scrap pieces, I'm just going to bring them all together. There's really no rhyme or reason. I just don't want to throw them out so I can make something really delicious, and I can just kind of roll them together and take a little bit of cinnamon and sugar and make our cinnamon sugar filling. And I could just make a little cookie just to be able to taste the leftover pieces. So a little bit of egg wash so that the sugar will stick to the center, and press this down. So I'm making like little cinnamon roll cookies, and then I'm just going to roll it up. So instead of throwing those scraps out, make some fun cookies. Don't waste anything. We like to make sure that we utilize everything in the kitchen. And so we'll just put those to the side. And there we go. We're going to chill this all for 20 minutes before we bake. Now that it's been chilling for 20 minutes, I want to take some egg wash and brush the top. I'm also going to take a little bit of sugar so that it'll help caramelize, and then also add a little crunch of sweetness to the top as well. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of sugar on that now. And if you have something like a sanding or a crystallized sugar, which is much bigger chunks, you can use that, and that gives a nice final presentation. So here are our hand pies when they came out of the oven. Here we can look and see all those great layers of flakiness that we're looking for. And then our other item were just those little cookies. So good little snacking pieces for the chef while they're waiting. So now we're going to take our hand pies and we're going to do a glaze. We're going to use confectioner or powdered sugar. To that, we're going to continue with our lemon flavoring. So we're going to add some lemon juice and just make sure you get any seeds out. Mix that together and you'll see how quickly the confectioner sugar dissolves. Really too thin to pour on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some softened cream cheese to the glaze, and that's going to give us a nice consistency. And if I still find it to be too thin, I can just sprinkle in a little more confectioner sugar and just keep playing with that until you get to the right consistency. Okay, and we want this to be a nice pourable, thicker kind of a glaze. So I can use a spoon or a fork and I can just drizzle it back and forth over, but I may not get as specific of a design that I'm looking for. So the other solution is that you can take a small Ziploc sandwich size bag and put all of your glaze into the bag. And this way we can use this like a pastry bag. So just seal it, get all the air out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just take a pair of scissors and just clip the corner to create a small hole on top so we can now drizzle. Very carefully just go back and forth and you'll have a nice beautiful glaze, and this just gives it a nice look. And if for some reason you don't like the glaze, then don't put the glaze on. You can keep them very plain. You can also just put a little powdered sugar on. So if you don't like that glaze, if you don't like that extra sweetness, that's totally fine. You don't have to do it. This is your product. But here are ours with the glaze on it. And then if you want to set it up on a platter, you can set them up and add some extra blueberries. You can add extra lemon zest if you really like that nice pop of flavor. And here are our blueberry hand pies. I hope you enjoyed. And please make sure that you check out our YouTube channel to see all of our recipes from all the classes.